Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Better Than Brunch. How are you all? I'm Cass.
I'm Cherish.
Denise, she, her pronouns.
I'm
And we
Christina.
have
Today we have two.
I'm just
fucking
gonna
hell.
Sorry.
We have two guests.
And we'll let them introduce themselves.
Hi. Maybe I'll try this again. I'm Christina, she, her pronouns. I won an auction to hang out with these wonderful ladies, and I invited my book bestie.
I'm Jessie, she, her pronouns, and I live in Iowa. And yeah, Kiki and I have a blog together.
And yes, my friends call me Kiki. Sorry.
I'm sorry. My bad.
That's okay.
No, that's fine.
What's the
That's
name of
fine.
your blog?
Oh, our blog is the Bookshelf Boudoir, but Boudoir
Bookshelf.
My gosh. It's been a year. So Jessie,
It's inconsistent.
What's that?
It's inconsistent at the moment. No regular posting because pandemic.
We're all about that. It's like a little surprise you drop into the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's wonderful.
You know, it's one of those things that I feel like we started to have a little bit of normalcy in the pandemic, and then the pandemic lasted longer than we ever expected. And we both have two kids, and we both work full time, and yeah, life.
Well, I mean, when you do drop a blog post, people will be like, oh my God, it's like Beyonce dropping a surprise album, you know?
Oh, yeah. You all are Beyonce now.
A blog.
I didn't bring my fan. I need my fan for my hair.
Yeah, well, just, we've got a little bit of time, so you can work on it. Just like open a window or have somebody in front of you stand with like a piece of paper. And Jessie, no one is ever from Iowa, so I'm so excited to have like a fellow Iowan. Like,
I know, right? I had no idea you were from Iowa. I was like, how do I like read your book and like buy from a local bookstore and like fangirl this hard and not know you were like right here,
like down the road,
right here.
Although you're at rival schools.
That's true.
So.
Well, that's okay. I can ignore that. So in Iowa, if you're not familiar with Iowa, there are no professional sports teams or professional football teams. And so there's three like colleges, but the two D1 institutions have kind of this pretty hard in-state rivalry. They're in different conferences. 9 times out of 10, the University of Iowa beats my alma mater, but every now and again we pull it out. But it's this just sort of wonderful in-state rivalry because we don't have any other professional football teams.
So I have beef with Denise for where she lives, but it's fine.
Okay.
It's fine. I can hold a grudge pretty well.
I wore my gold for you though.
Everyone needs a good rival.
They say it's fine, but I'm picking up on a lot of simmering disdain right now.
I married into a family of University of Iowa fans, and so it's just me on like game day. So the first year my son was around for that, we changed, like whoever was changing his diaper like changed him into the correct onesie for the day, so he was just changing his colors back and forth all day. So it's fun. So I think Cass was going to tell us a little bit actually about the charity connected to the auction that brought you all here. So if folks are interested in donating or learning more, we'll drop the links in the description.
Yes, so there was an auction, what was it, 2 months ago? I do not know time anymore. But recently where it was called the Books for Palestine auction, in which they raised $86,000 for the Middle Eastern Children's Alliance and the Palestine Children's Relief Fund. Both of these, you can go to their websites and donate still, even though the auction is over. We'll be putting the link for those at the end of the show where you can access. But we were so happy to welcome you guys as the winners of the Better Than Brunch guest spot. So this is awesome. It was such a great thing to be a part of.
Yeah.
I was so excited to win it because number one, I again am fangirling, but at the same time, it's just like it's such an important set of charities that we're dealing with, and especially when you're looking at children who are in humanitarian crisis through no fault of their own. And so how could you not, right? It's an easy give. But I'm also glad to be here with you all this morning.
That's a good way of putting it. I think it's really nice to be able to give and have fun. But yeah, if people want to continue giving, we'll definitely be posting those links with the video that's uploading.
So as we get started, since we're kind of in that sad middle place of summer where it's still summer, but we're all like looking ahead to fall, or those of us who are in education are anyway. And so we thought we would go around and have everybody share their favorite thing about this past summer. It can be a big thing or a very small thing, but whatever has like tripped your fancy this summer. And then what you are looking forward to for fall.
Yeah, let's have our guests go first. Jessie?
Okay, so we took our first like family vacation with me and my husband, our 2 kids. We went up to Colorado, and I'd never been there, and I'm terrible at elevation, but it was still really fun. Like I couldn't breathe, but it was fine. And then for fall, I'm looking forward to my kids going back to in-person school, kind of ish. I'm excited for them to like have friends and, not be in the room 24/7, but it's also terrifying. So we'll see.
Balance.
Yeah.
I can't breathe, but was having a good time is this sort of beautiful premise for a romance novel. And I don't know what it would be about, but.
Yeah, you do.
Well.
Well, that wasn't it. Elevation.
Coming later.
What about you, Christina?
So I didn't go anywhere fun this summer, but my kids did go to summer camp, and I'm like sitting here because I know they're going to be coming through here any second. And like Jessie, my kids have been home for the past 17 months. So having them go and be with other kids, and also my house being quiet for when it's not dark outside, was really nice. I also am a huge gardener. I know a few of you follow me on Twitter. So I grew sunflowers for the first time, and they freaking bloomed. So I'm like I'm totally nerding out over my flowers right now, because I love trying new things, and let's put it this way, we did try sunflowers before and they didn't turn out, and this time they turned out. So yeah. I too am looking forward to my kids going back to school, although we're lucky we live someplace where we do have a mask mandate for the kids in school. So that makes me feel a little better, even though there's a lot of unknowns. But fall is my jam. Okay. I'm not even gonna lie to you. September 15th, my house is gonna be decorated for Halloween. Yes. You know what? Bring me my pumpkin spice latte right now. I'm okay with that. Okay. And the fun thing, so Jessie and I know each other. We met on an online moms group when we were pregnant with our almost 9-year-olds now. And our kids' birthdays are coming up next week. And I love my kids' birthdays, but that also means PSLs are around the corner. They're literally coming out the same week. So I love my children, but I also love PSLs, so I'm good.
Nice.
You can contain multitudes.
Yes. Of layers.
Yeah. Pumpkin-y layers.
Yeah. Aw. Well, I guess I can go next. This summer has been pretty awesome because I got to leave Sweden and come back to America. Spent like a month and 2 weeks hanging out with my sister, just doing it up. Girls out on the town, eating all kinds of shellfish, getting all kinds of puffy. This was the year that I found out that I might have an allergy. So, what? What?
There's an episode in Broad City where the one girl is so allergic to shellfish and she keeps eating.
She just keeps eating it.
Oh, yeah. I do remember that.
Said that. I was like, you're her. Oh my gosh.
No, I'll keep eating it. I mean, there's no like visible, like I'm not getting red. My hands are just getting a little puffy. That's it.
You could pregame with Benadryl.
Yeah, I could, for sure. I would be sleepy and eating these crawdads.
I feel like we very much need a medical advisory on this episode of Better Than Brunch to say we do not advise this behavior.
It's fine. Whatever. Anyway, had a great time eating all the shellfish. And just being back home and experiencing, like, you know, being out, as you ladies have said, just being out and about and talking to people. But I look forward to coming back here with a vaccine because I had to go to America to get my vaccines. I want to have fun here in the fall, you know, go out shopping, go out and enjoy taking the city bus, which has been like a thing that I haven't been able to do. And obviously the gateway holidays, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, winter. But like, I'm ready. I got my American foods. I got my stovetop stuffing. I put it in a suitcase, brought it back home with me. So like, I'm prepped. I'm ready to go. Thanksgiving, not going to catch me slipping.
Did you get your grasshopper cookies?
Oh, fuck. I forgot about them. No, I didn't. We were...
Is that something we can mail you?
No, but I was like on a knife's edge with like all of the suitcases weight, so it's fine.
You never know. They might just show up in the mail.
Ooh.
Chocolatey little butts to you.
What about you
I don't know
guys?
why I had this image of you like hiding the cookies like under your clothing as you like got to the airport. But I was like, but they're chocolate cookies, so then they would melt. And then I was like in my head going through the logistics of this, like you were actually going to do it. Like
TSA will pat me down, obviously.
But what would they do if they're patting somebody down and just a bunch of cookies fell out?
Ma'am, these can go in your carry-on.
And you're like, that's just how I like to carry them. I forgot they were there.
I like to keep them in my bra. I like to keep them warm and
I like
toasty.
to keep my cookies close.
And my enemy's closer. So, yes, Cass, Denise, summertime, fall time.
First, I want to say we love you, Taj. Taj is stuck in an airport. Otherwise, she would be here with us. Traveling is not the easiest thing to do right now, and so her poor thing has been there since yesterday. So we all wish Taj well, and that she eventually gets to her final destination at some point in time. Because is she on standby, or she's just on?
She's waiting in Charlotte.
Just waiting for her flight.
Yeah.
So we wish you well. We wish you luck.
It's a mess.
It is such a mess. But she has some big news that we're going to be sharing on the next show. So make sure you tune in for that too. As for me with summer, let's see, did anything special happen to me this summer? I had a book come out.
Oh, that
was awesome. So now Everybody Shines is out in the world. If you don't have it, pick it up. It's a YA anthology celebrating fabulous fat kids living their best lives. And it's me and 15 other amazing authors. And then the thing I love about summer, I would have to say two things. Swimming. I've been able to swim in my pool for the like 5 minutes of summer we get every year here in Washington State. And I I've found a new love for watermelon popsicles.
Ooh.
That has been my guilty pleasure all the time. Whenever I'm like, what sweet sounds good? It's a watermelon popsicle. They're so good.
That sounds good.
They're outshine, so it's all fruit. It's awesome.
Oh, I love outshine.
Yeah, try the watermelon ones. They're just
So like not too sweet or something?
they're just super refreshing. Like, you know how lemonade, okay, you know how they try to make lemonade be the most refreshing drink out there for the summer, but and like if you're at the fair or like the farmer's market or something, they make the stand look all pretty and you're like, lemonade, and then you taste it and you're so much more thirsty than you ever were before you had it, and your mouth's dry and you're not refreshed at all. Like, it's the opposite of that.
Okay. And are they a paid sponsor for this evening's programming?
No,
I think it's just a general love because the pineapple ones were like all I wanted to eat when I was pregnant with my son, and they are still my favorite popsicle.
yeah, they're so good.
You get little chunks of pineapple in your popsicle. It's like a little present.
It is.
It is very sweet. It is not, I don't know if that's refreshing. It's just all sugar, but it's real good.
Okay.
Refreshing. And I just realized I have a very strong hate of lemonade.
Yeah, that's something we should maybe explore because I don't know if I've ever heard anybody like talk that viscerally about lemonade. It was like that lemonade did something to you.
I feel like that's
personally.
been bottled up for a while and it just came rushing out.
Okay.
Maybe that's why Beyonce titled that Lemonade.
Yeah, it's just never satisfying. Lemonade.
Okay. Let's.
Okay, anyway. What are you looking forward to for fall?
Not the album. Looking for fall. I think just the fallness of it all. I admit I got a little gnome yesterday that says "Happy Fall, y'all," and he's now sitting, even though it's still summer, in my living room. I love it. I love the leaves changing. I love the way the air smells. I love that people start having fires and all the yumminess of fall flavors. It's a great season. I love seeing things go to sleep. You know, like as all of the scenery. It's great for photos. Forests when they're losing their leaves and it's all on the ground. It's a great
crisp air.
Yes.
Yeah. You can smell it.
I just had too much caffeine this morning because all of these are just evoking like funny images in my head of like just watching people go to sleep. Like, it's fall, so now I just peek in windows.
Yeah. What about you, Denise?
Well, this summer I took 2 weeks of vacation, which I don't normally take a lot of vacation. And I did a solo writing retreat and I flew to Atlanta and then to Texas. And I didn't plan a lot. I just hung out with some friends, but mostly I was in my hotel writing. It was really hot both places, so I didn't like go out and about that much, but it was amazing and flights were super cheap, so I got to fly first class and I don't know if I can go back now. But it was like, it felt very authorly, and I wrote, a book in 7 days versus the second book, which is taking like a month and a half. So that was a lot of fun. And for fall, my son is starting kindergarten. I don't know that I'm looking forward to that in the current moment. We don't have any mask mandates here. They are actually illegal, which is a whole thing. But my second book comes out this fall, so I'm pretty excited about that. It's totally a book of my heart, and I love it. So I'm excited for that to hit the shelves, and I'll talk about that, I guess, in our next segment. But which I can transition to now, which is where we share news and happenings.
Do it.
And the first thing I was going to share is that Cherish and I will be mentoring again for Pitch Wars, and we'll be teaming up to be Team Leo. Our mentee last year sold her book. She signed with an agent and sold her book. It's The Art of Scandal, and it'll be out. Is it next year or is it early 2023? I can't remember.
You know what? I don't remember.
Coming soon, though. It's super hot, super hot. Like, I read a lot of hot stuff, and I think there's one scene in this book that was maybe the hottest thing I've ever read in my life. So if you like that in your books, the spiciness, be on
And
the lookout for it.
intrigue and secrets and
Yeah, so
family
the writing is
drama.
excellent. All of those other things. Like clearly I was focused in on the spicy, the chili peppers. But anyway, we are going to be mentoring again. So if anybody's watching and is going to participate in Pitch Wars, the wish list will go up sometime soon in the next month, and then that'll be happening. So we're excited to team up again.
I know. We're the dynamic duo. We get shit done, and I think we complement each other pretty well when it comes to working with somebody. So honestly, there's no way that I would do Pitch Wars without you. I don't want to make this sound weird, but
True, same. Weird. Beyond the cookies,
But tell us more about your book.
Let me tell you more about my book. Bam. So The Fastest Way to Fall comes out November 2nd in the US and across the UK and Australia. And it is about Britta, who is here. Okay, I can't do that. That's reverse. But Britta is a fat woman and is a journalist, or she wants to be a journalist. And so the magazine that she works for charges her with reviewing a body positive fitness app. And so she joins the app to see, does it do what it claims? Is it body positive? And it's sort of like Noom in that you work with somebody online, like a trainer. And so Wes is the trainer, and the two of them connect. He has a lot going on, like with his family, and is kind of done with the corporate space that he's in. And so the two of them, for the first third of the book, have this sort of epistolary connection. They text and they message and they email and really get to know each other. And the whole premise of the book is really about finding strength and finding the person who you can be strong with. And they fall in love, and it's a slow burn, which is not my typical spicy style. But yeah, really excited for it to come out. And I like both of the covers because my main thing was the character is fat. Like, I want her to appear fat on the cover. And so for the one on the left, the US cover, the thing I said most to the designer was, no, make her butt bigger. No, her butt bigger. No, her thighs bigger. No, her calves bigger. And like they did every time. And it was like, she represents like the kind of shape and look that I had. And for the UK cover, I said the same thing. And like, I didn't have to go back. They were like, bam, hips, legs, all of it, the sliver of his tummy. And I also love that he's the one falling and she's the one running to save him, which I think is so kind of the case in the book, that he is helping her be physically strong, but she's helping him be emotionally strong. So Britta and Wes, The Fastest Way to Fall, will be out November 2nd. Signed copies are available from the Rip Bodice, and I'm going to have some swag that will be coming soon that I'll announce soon. So that'll come with those signed copies too. And the link is in my bio on social media, and we can drop it in the chat too. So excited about that. And then I have my 3 novellas that'll be out next summer that I'm writing right now, and my 3rd novel will be out next fall that I'm editing right now. So it's kind of a busy,
goddamn,
right? I didn't fully think all of that through timeline wise, so it feels like a great time to be doing Pitch Wars as well. I'm sure it won't be too busy
because you have so much time on your hands.
Just how we do.
No,
yeah.
your mentees are going to be so lucky. They always are so lucky to have you too. You guys do a stellar job.
Well, we did a bang up job the first go around, so I feel confident that maybe we could do it again.
I don't know if we fully get credit for that. That book was pretty good going in, but we'll take it because we're Leos.
I will take that credit. Thank you.
Okay, sorry. So yeah, that's kind of the news from my end. Other folks have things they want to share news-wise?
My audiobook for Trust Falling for You will be coming out September 21st, and I keep forgetting that.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Do you know who's narrating it?
Yeah, I'm going to say her name wrong, so I'm not going to say it, but she did the female voice for Sinner.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Monet somebody. This is awful. I should know this, but I have not been following up on that news. When things get closer, I'm sure there will be links for other distribution, Barnes and Noble and whatnot. But yeah, that's what's going on.
I am an audiophile. I love audiobooks, especially for my commute. So I remember when they sent me an early copy of my audiobook for How to Fail Flirting. I was like more emotional about that than like holding the physical book. Then that was like, oh, this is cool. But the audio, I was like, oh my gosh, the words are playing in my car. So
Well, I think it's probably because this is like maybe the closest we'll get to adaptations. You know, in unless something else changes and we get that Netflix money. But like hearing an actress or an actor read our words is pretty phenomenal. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Jesse, Christina, do you guys have news?
I love that. I love the shake of the head. And I only say that I'm right near my desk because Jesse made me realize what a big deal something in my life was that I guess maybe I wrote it out. I wrote it off. So I'm a political science professor, and I've been doing a lot of work around romance. And I actually interviewed about 24 women who participated in last fall's Romancing the Runoff. Not just Romancing the Runoff, but also the phone banking that for that. Can I talk shit here? Because I love it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's going to be posted on YouTube, but otherwise, please do.
You know what? Let's put it this way. Kiki don't care. And I also have tenure, so I'm good. A lot of people who assess my work basically wrote it off. Okay, wrote it off like it's not really political science. And let's put it this way. I don't know how many studies we can have about Congress or the president, but I'd rather talk with real people like you and me and find out what motivates them to participate, right? And so I asked for, we have these departmental donors who are very generous. And I asked for some money to expand my study from an article that's under review to a book manuscript, looking at romance as resistance and romance as political. And there's been plenty of work that has been done on pop culture, but no one's done romance because of course it's a woman's sphere and blah, 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 right? And I did not get a lot of support departmentally for my project, and then the donors gave me money for it. So yay! So
awesome.
Things that I'm really excited about is that I got money for survey incentives. So hopefully this fall I will put out a survey for romance readers, and they'll get a nice little Amazon kickback. They can themselves some Kindle books or audiobooks or something like that. But it's just awesome because I'm going to nerd out here for a second, but it's just awesome because for so long I've been doing this, you know, if you count grad school, for over 20 years now. And I've always studied mainstream stuff, but to be able to be creative with my scholarship in that way, especially since I'm not in a very creative field, is super fun. And so like I was all excited, and then Jesse sent me this lovely card saying you kick ass and all this and that, and I was like, oh, this is a big deal, right? So
you do.
Oh my gosh, that's a huge deal. And to get like donor money to support it, like that's amazing.
I'm really excited about it because I think I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say this after you just talked, Denise, because I feel like you don't sleep, but I'm so burned out, and to be able to do something that's super fun and also to raise the voice of women who not just authors but like readers, right? Women who usually don't have the opportunity to share their stories, I think is so important. And that's really, you know, you think about why we do what we do. That's why I do what I do, right? One of the reasons I do that is because I want more voices out there and not just the elite. So I'm really excited about this and totally nerding out, clearly. So
I love it. I want to buy the book when it's out.
Yes. You're gonna
first, and my kids need to go back to school for me to do that.
Okay, also that.
Okay.
But we will 100% share the link to the survey when you put it out there.
Of course. You're going to get so many great voices, so many marginalized readers' voices, queer, people who identify as femme, what have you. It's just going to be like a really awesome, I'm hoping like a really awesome spread of voices.
I was just looking, I printed out all the interviews that I did last year because I'm using Totally Gonna Nerd Out Grounded Theory to kind of like go through and see the different themes that arise. And it is this like, it is thick. It is like its own little book. And that's just talking with people. Like I talked with them for about 30 minutes a piece. And like I said, it was about like 24 women. And there's so much, like it's wonderful. Like it's like totally nerding out, but at the same time, one thing that really got me was how many women started by going, you sure you want to talk to me about this? And I was like, yes, I want to talk to you. You are important. And that's like, like it's empowering, and it's taking your agency and saying, I have an important story. So I hope like part of it is like raising those voices, but also like reinforcing that you're doing something important and your story is important and people need to hear that. Yeah. And I think one thing that's what romance does, right? All these stories you all share with us. I think that's so important because and Denise, I love what you said about making her bigger on the cover, right? One of the reasons why I love and I'm going to point to Olivia Dade, like her covers are just so freaking amazing because that's what I look like, right? That's what I look like. And to be able to see that, right? And Cass, like, I said this before, but like to be able to read those things as a teen, as like a tween and a teen, like, oh my, like 41-year-old me is like head exploding, right? Because I wonder what my life would have been if I would have known that, right?
Right.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna stop.
I love it.
Jessie, don't you have something fun to share other than that? I don't know. I'm putting you on the spot.
Oh God.
Jessie went out to dinner last night and had a fun last night or Friday night.
Friday.
Yeah, and I think that's important because God knows how long we're going to be able to keep doing that.
I know.
Right?
So,
Where'd you go? What'd you have? Did you have shellfish?
And what was your drink?
No, we went to a little Neapolitan pizza place. It's my kids' favorite restaurant because they can like make their own little pizza and go watch it cook and whatever. So we sat outside and they complained the whole time about bugs. It was super fun. But the food was great. No shellfish.
Did you get the fun drink?
I did. I had like an Italian margarita made with, what's it called? Like limoncello or something. I don't know how to say it.
Yeah.
The one. Yeah.
That's
It was bubbly,
lemons
delightful.
are good. Lemons are good in limoncello. I'll give them that.
Not lemon.
Was it
We used to have a
refreshing?
real good focus on our cocktails for our Better Than Brunch, and we kind of fell away from it because it's 8 a.m. for some of us. But I think we probably need to like get back to that. I think you're just gonna have to suck it up, Cass, and do some morning drinking.
You know what? Fall's the perfect time for morning drinking because you can get all those wonderful liqueurs and whatnot in your coffees, and it just feels great because it's warming you up. I'm down for morning beverages.
Hot toddies.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, let's think through this. Maybe we could have a signature cocktail per episode, and then like everybody makes it, and we see how it turned out for everybody.
Ooh.
Oh, that sounds like
Mine
fun.
will fail because I'm bad at mixing drinks, but I am still here for.
Would we do it on as we record, like mix it right in front? You'd be like,
We could.
Maybe.
I feel like Taj will probably be the best of us at making these things.
I'll be
And how to
Everyone
fill.
record themselves doing it, and then you can put it on TikTok like a
Like a promo.
Yeah.
There you go.
That sounds like a fantastic idea. Okay.
Somebody write it down because we'll forget it.
We're
I'll
recording.
write it down. I don't know why I said somebody write it down. That's always like my role is write it down.
I'm drinking right now, so I can't.
My
Yes.
drink is empty, so I'm drinking Coke.
Mine's iced
Before I
tea from
forget,
this morning. So
my quick little piece of news. I have a virtual event at 6:30 p.m. on Wednesday, August 18th. So that's just a couple of days away from now with the Snow Isle Library System. And it's myself and other authors, Catherine Adele West and
Yeah.
Rebecca Skye and Francina Simone and Kelly DeVos. And we are going to be discussing more in depth why it's so important that there is body diversity in all areas of media, but especially youth literature, and how it can help develop or give kids tools to develop body neutrality, self-acceptance, self-confidence from a very young age. So that way, when they're attacked with fat phobic remarks or just anything in general that makes them feel not accepted, they have the tools to battle that from a young age. Because a lot of times we don't learn it, if we learn it ever, until we're well into adulthood. So books and movies have such a special effect with that and changing everyone's mindset, regardless of your body. Sometimes it's for the worst when it comes to fat people, but hopefully the more positive books that we put out and just normal books that we put out, everything starts to balance and be better for kids of upcoming generations. So I have a link for that in my bio, both on Twitter and Instagram, and it's free, which is the best part about it.
Could you include that link in the description too for audience people?
Definitely, most definitely. And these other authors are so much fun to talk with too. They're part of the anthology, and I've done quite a few events with them now, and they're a blast. So tune in, chat with them, ask questions.
And that reminds me, for people who regularly watch Better Than Brunch, please go back one episode and you will be able to meet some of these authors that contributed to the Everybody Shines anthology.
Yes.
which really means we haven't dropped an episode in several months, because that was in May. And so we have a little bit to catch up on in terms of what people are reading. What are we reading and or listening to right now that is just like doing the good things for you? I don't know how I was going to end that sentence, because doing the good things.
Wait, did we skip over my beef?
Oh, we did. I didn't mean to skip your beef.
Well, now I've got beef with you.
I'll deal with it. Okay, we can all think about what we're reading, because Cherish has beef to share.
I do. Thank you. So anyway, I have beef with the American CVS's, Walgreens, Rite Aids, and Walmart pharmacies for having great walk-ins for the vaccination. Wonderful. Thank you for that. But apparently when it comes to testing, everything is just shot to shit, and I have to go online for everything. And the appointments that you do have available, I don't have the choice to do a rapid testing. I say all of that because Noah and I, in order to fly back internationally, we have to have the test in 48 hours. And the only place available to get said test was at the airport, which you know is going to be highway robbery because they know that you need this. And so our tests to show that we were negative cost $200 a pop.
Ooh.
No.
I just want that to sink in. Let's sit in it for a minute. Okay, minute is over. So we get our negative tests. We've got these papers. I still have my paper because I want to show to everybody, every ticketing agent, every TSA person. We were like, do you need to see this paper that says that we, no, nobody needed to see it. Nobody needed to see it. when we checked into SAS in Virginia. Nobody needed to see it in Copenhagen. No one needed to see it in Sweden. $200 per flying person. That was royalty money from like June, and I'll never get that back.
I'm sorry.
So I hope that all of the CVS's, Walgreens, Rite Aids, and Walmart pharmacies burn to the ground. That's how deep this beef goes.
Can you wait to wish that until they're done vaccinating people?
Fine.
That might be the way that they get your prescriptions out to you too. They're so really those.
It was just such a stressful thing to have to like try to book online. And when you call these pharmacies, they're like, no, we only do everything online. And it's like, please, can I talk to somebody and book something with you, with a human being? And like, no, we do it online. Anyway, that's my beef. Half beef, can I just put it out there? Because it's still like really beefy. When we got back home, 3 of our outdoor patio cushions for our chairs were gone. Somebody stole patio chair cushions from us. And I have no idea to what end. And this is a nameless beef, I guess. The beef to whoever lives around here. How dare you? And what gives you the right?
And what are you using them for?
I'm just like, what was somebody, and were there 4 and they only took 3?
They only took 3.
So they didn't need like a full set. They just needed 3 padded things.
Yeah. And here I am sitting my ass on bare metal like some schmuck.
Yeah, like you're having to take that one cushion and just move it from chair to chair like some kind of a cushionless roustabout. I
don't want to go to America and expect that these things happen. The crime here.
That just is Swedish crime that specific. Like there's a ring of odd numbered chair cushions being taken, and the citizens should be wary.
It's such a low crime area, and yet this awful thing happens, and it's shaken my faith in all that is like good and just.
Maybe
anyway,
like a teenager and their parent had a booty injury, and they were like, I gotta help my parent, but I don't have any money and I don't know how to do it. And so it was kind of like steal bread to save your starving family, but like steal cushions to save your parents.
You're making this into a Les Mis situation.
Yes. I'm taking this and I'm saying, what if?
Yeah, no, I get it. Anyway, that's my beef, and I'm sticking to it.
It's a good one.
Trademark.
So
back to the fact that they only took 3 of the 4.
And you know how I keep beef. Like this will bother me until we leave here. Like I'm gonna look everybody that I come across, and I'm gonna give them that me mug look. Like I don't trust you. Something off about it.
What if you saw them on one of your neighbor's chairs?
Well, that's what I was doing. I was kind of like wandering around looking at everybody's patio set like a weirdo, which puts me in an awkward position. Like maybe I'm scoping out somebody's patio furniture. Maybe somebody's going to call the cops on me, and it's a mess.
I just love that you're, looking into heists, and like this is the heist in your real life. So it's like in the book, it's diamonds, but here, cushions, and it's all about stakes.
Maybe I felt bad halfway through, which is why they left you one cushion. They're like, they need to have a little bit of comfort. We can't.
Yeah, because that teenager didn't want you to have an injury like their parent did.
Yeah.
You guys are giving them a lot of credit for some psychotic behavior.
That's what we do.
Maybe they were interrupted by the person that used to walk by your apartment with the mask on. Wasn't
The
there
bear
like a
mask.
bear mask?
Not like a face mask, like a bear head.
Maybe they came and scared them and they were like, oh shit, we only have 3. Gotta run in.
Or maybe the bear took it, because somebody who walks around with a bear mask on, like that might be the kind of thing you would do for funsies.
They needed more time.
Like stealing a flag off somebody's mailbox or something. Just like this sort of petty.
I don't feel supported in this. I don't feel supported in this particular beef. I feel like I don't have the proper backup.
I think it's that we don't have anybody specific to like rally against.
I know.
You know, if you come on next week and we're like, I figured out who it was, we'd be like, all right, let's fight. I already sent you a switchblade to be part of my street team. So, you know, let's go.
Well, I'll keep a lookout. The investigation is still open. I will reorder them from IKEA, of course, but like.
Did you dust for fingerprints?
No. Anyway, let's talk about what people are reading.
You could put up missing signs, like lost dog in the neighborhood. You could take the picture of the one and then just copy and paste it 3 times.
And then put a sad face on the board that says missing siblings.
Yeah,
Sharon's about to hang up on the call.
You know what? Jesse, tell us what you're reading.
I'm always reading like 3 books because I just like I have like one by my bed and I have like one I read in my office and I usually have like one on my Kindle. So I'm reading It's Raining Men by Julie Hammerly. It's like a rom-com type thing. And I picked it because who doesn't love that song? And then I'm reading a nonfiction book called I Was the Stripper Librarian. Ooh, and I'm only like 15% in, but it's a woman who like paid her grad school debts, like library science school, by being a stripper. And I'm like, that's pretty awesome. Yeah. And then my oldest daughter picked a book out for me for my birthday back in June, and she like painstakingly like went to the bookstore and like read all the backs of the books and like picked one she thought I'd really like. And it's taken me 3 months and I've made it 90 pages and I feel like the worst mom. But I'm like, I don't love it, but I have to read it because she just keeps me like, Mom, do you like the book? And I'm like, it's great, babe.
That's so sweet.
So
are you allowed to say what the book is?
So it's called Red Island House. It's by Andrea Lee. Like I don't know. I don't know why I can't like get into it.
Yeah.
It's not bad, and just like it's also not romance. So
that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say your husband wasn't gonna let her loose in the part of the bookstore that you would really enjoy.
Well, they went to like the swanky downtown bookstore. Denise might know Prairie Lights.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it probably isn't a huge romance section.
Yeah, they probably have like a romance book, and it's probably Denise's because she's an Iowa author. So it's probably just like her book on the shelf. So I'll get there eventually.
Yeah. No.
Or you can DNF it and still say, I love that you picked this book for me.
She
hasn't read it either, so you could fake it like a book club.
Yeah.
There.
We've all been there, or graduate school. We've all been there.
Oh yeah, I would read like 2 paragraphs very closely, and then I would bring every conversation back to those 2 paragraphs in graduate school. Be like, that theory is interesting, but let's talk about the introduction to this.
And I recognize that
I think it really frames some important paradigms that we need to spend some time on.
And I can spot that student now that I am their professor.
Oh, 100%.
Christina, what are you reading?
I just finished Fat Chance Charlie Vega, which I'm gonna see if you can see it on my screen. My goodness, I love this book so much. I heard a lot of really great things about it, and then Charlie is a Puerto Rican girl living in Connecticut, which half of my family's Puerto Rican, so like reading part of this was like really fantastic, and having that connection. I also thought that it was interesting that like just how the juxtaposition between her and her mom, and her mom had lost a ton of weight, and how her mom was kind of writing her with diets, and I was like, oh my gosh, it was my teenage years all over again. So I thought that it was just a really fantastic read, and I've been really doing a lot of YA this summer just because it's light and accessible, and I need lightness. I also, I just realized what a crack I have on my phone. It's the cover. It is not my phone. So if you see it, I started Neon Gods this week, which is like the book of the summer, right? And I'd like to thank my library for actually owning a copy. So I finally got off the wait list and got it. And I love that the tagline is unspeakably hot. I haven't gotten to that part yet. And then I also just finished reading Sexism Ed by Kelly Baker, who I love her writing. Although the subtitle is Essays on Gender and Labor in Academia. And it took me no time to read this because I was like, oh, this is my life. This is my life. This is my life. And then I'm glad I read it. It's great to kind of have that
validation.
Yeah, but it also sucks. Like it sucks so. And if you don't know who Kelly Baker is, she's actually someone, she got her PhD at Florida State like I did. And around the same time, I think we overlapped while we were there, but I don't know her, but I follow her on Twitter. And she's left academia, right? She left academia because of balancing a family and being contingent faculty for so long. And so I'm lucky I never had to do that. But I was contingent faculty while I was in grad school. I taught at different institutions. But it just sucks. Like it just sucks so much. So I'm hoping Neon Gods pulls it out because I need something to pick me up after Sexism Ed. Okay. But
I think you would be pleasantly surprised or happy.
Yay. Yeah. And the semester's starting on Wednesday. And so I feel like this is my last push and like really fun books for a little bit. So I'm hoping that it just works out.
I think it will.
I just finished Neon Gods, and it definitely is fun and hot and kind of easy read. I did the audiobook. But yeah, it was an interesting framing because somebody I was talking to was like, oh, it's like mafia romance. And I was reading it and I was like, I don't know if I would put it in like mafia romance, but it had that kind of energy.
Oh,
it's like it's like modern politics set with the Greek mythology characters, as how I would frame it.
Oh, see, Zeus is such the mob boss. He's totally the mob boss, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I took him more as like a political.
There's such a fine line between political.
Well, yeah. I guess I didn't see the mob piece. It was more the power, but it's all about the power. Well,
I've read Jesse and I both have read a lot of Katie Roberts' Irish mob stuff. Yeah. They are incredibly hot, and so we enjoyed those very much. So maybe that's what's influencing my take on it. But I think, and I don't think this is a spoiler or anything, but lots of dead wives and no explanation screams mob boss to me, or Kennedy. I'm not sure which. But I think it's a little bit of both, right?
I feel like at this point it screams a lot of politicians to me too, but regardless, it is a good read. It is a hot read. It is fun.
I'm so far, like, let's put it this way. I like how Jessie said she had one by her bedside. I've been so exhausted lately that I seriously read like 3 pages, then I'm like, and I'm done. So it takes me forever to get through a book these days.
I have been reading a lot of advanced reader copies of books that are coming out in the next couple of months and in the spring. So a few that I've read recently, The Bennett Women is a Pride and Prejudice retelling that's very inclusive. It takes place in a small college dorm. And so that is my mentee for DV debut, Eden Piakupi, and it's fun. I'm reading I'm So Not Over You, which is Kasoko Jackson's. That'll be out in February, which is two men, fake dating, kind of second chance. And it's a lot of fun. I finished All the Feels, which will be Olivia Dade's one that's out in October, which is the kind of second, the follow-up to Spoiler Alert. So it has a lot of the fanfic pieces in it and kind of Hollywood behind the scenes. And I'm listening right now. I'm reading a lot of dark stuff. Our book club has gone dark for several books in a row. So I am doing the audiobook, two Cara Bastone audiobooks. And they're Audible originals. And so they're like produced. So you get like the background noise and it's not just like reading the book, but it's actually them acting out this audio story. So Call Me Maybe and Sweet Talk. And both of them take place while people are talking on the phone. And they're just like very light and fun and slow burns. And I don't think there was actually anything on the page with Call Me Maybe or on the audio page. But anyway, those have been a nice counter to some of the much heavier things I've been reading that are like dark romance, dark erotic romance, those sorts of things.
That sounds good.
Very nice.
And then I guess reading my own writing when I get brave.
Yeah. Cass, what have you been reading?
Well, up until June or so, I've been reading lots of YA, both for the Fat Like Me podcast and then just, excuse me, there were just so many good ones coming out week after week after week. And I have found myself in a position where I've read 2 adult books back to back, which almost never happens for me. The first one was, and even funnier, which I had no idea it was going to be this way. They both are sort of based with plus size main characters being part of like bachelorette / reality TV shows. And so one was called One to Watch by Kate Stamen London. And then the other one, which I just finished the day before yesterday, is If the Shoe Fits by Julie Murphy, who is typically a YA writer, but this is her adult debut. And it's a Cinderella retelling with, a plus size main character. It was very interesting. My daughter has had me watching Love Island all summer long, which I think, because I'm not part of the Bachelor Nation or whatever it is, I don't watch those shows. I have nothing against them whatsoever, but it's really hard for me to watch a show consistently because nobody else in my family ever sits down with me and watches them. So I'll binge watch something like 4 years after it's been on the air. But the Love Island has gotten to me, and these books, they were very cute, fast reads. I finished them both within a couple of days. I always love a good Cinderella story. And Julie did a great job of that. I think it was a great debut author or adult story. So I highly recommend get it. It's good.
Yeah. Well, I am reading horror right now because I needed to switch up the genre a little bit. So I'm reading The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. And I got a buttload of other horror fiction novels as well. I'm only 25 pages into this, and it's already kind of chilling. It's got kind of a Native American it vibe about it. Like the kids are dealing with some type of trauma that carries over into adulthood, and the Native American tribe that's focused on is the Blackfoot and the Crow up in that area of the United States. And so far it's beautifully written. It's chilling. It's got like a creepy vibe to it. I don't think I've gotten to anything terribly scary yet, but it's like building. I've also read a novella for a book club called Locked Away with You by an author named Cherish Amore. So that was interesting. And it's basically a closed quarters. We're sharing a hotel room as strangers for the night, and very fast paced. They get to the sex amazingly quick for some strangers locked in a hotel room. And I'm also reading the Philip Rucker and Carol Leonnig, I Alone Can Fix It. The Trump, yeah.
I have
so,
that's sitting in my library queue right now, and so
okay.
I'm not sure if I can bring myself to read it or not.
It might be too soon, but you know, for me, I have like a short-term memory on like all of the explosive things that just happened last year, and so it helps me to remember like why I'm so angry. Like it's kind of fuzzy in the background, and I've got beef with whatever happened, but like it does get my timeline correct because they're both Washington Post columnists, and so they put everything in a chronological order as far as like how things went to shit 2020, be it COVID, the impeachment, all kinds of stuff. So it's a good refresher for me. So my reading is all kinds of everywhere.
Well, I
Are we
think
ready?
we are getting tight on time. So our last segment is usually romance novel on the fly, starring Joe Top something. And so Jessie and Christina have volunteered, or were voluntold, to give us the prompts to see what I can come up with. So I need a profession, a setting, whatever else you want to throw in there.
Go ahead, Jessie.
Can I go full Iowan on this then?
I mean, sure.
Okay, we're gonna need a corn farmer, and we're gonna need the state fair. Christina has to pick the other profession.
Ooh.
Oh, does it have to be an Iowan thing? Because I know nothing about Iowa.
No, that's just me and Denise, you know.
Okay. Because all I got is like Field of Dreams. So maybe why don't we go for a baseball player? We can have either a female baseball player, or it could be same sex. That's fine. Although I would love a female corn farmer. I think that would be interesting. So
I met one yesterday.
Okay.
Really?
I did. There was sweet corn being sold on the side of the freeway, and she said she has 5 acres, all corn. She was selling. Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
It's fate.
Okay. Ooh, I was gonna go real dark with this to start off with, but I won't go quite that dark. Baseball player Joe Top Bat is at the top of his game. He has been an MVP, World Series, All-Star. I don't know enough about baseball to give you any more detail, but he is the ish of the baseball world, and is invited to attend the Iowa State Fair, which they're positioning him perhaps to transition from baseball to politics. He's a celebrity. And so he makes his way to Des Moines, Iowa, where he has been promised that he can try deep fried butter on a stick, which is a real thing. And he goes to the fair. So at this point, Joe Top Bat knows he's at the top of his game. Some might call him cocky. Some might call him arrogant. But he goes to the state fair. He gives his lecture and signing and does all the things. He gets his deep fried butter on a stick. And then he decides, like, I'm Joe Top Bat. I'm going to go play some of these games that they have at the fair. And so he finds one that is, we call it cornhole here, or bags, but where you have the boards and you throw the thing. And he's like, okay, I'm just going to jump in on this team. And he jumps in on this team, going against Joan Topcorn. And Joan Topcorn is the reigning champ. So Joan Topcorn are going against each other, and she just ruins him. She defeats him completely. And it's on the news, there's photographers, and he throws kind of a temper tantrum. All of this gets out, and his career is suddenly tanked. He's canceled for his bad behavior. The political aspirations are gone. And now, a year later, Joe Topbat is best described as grizzled. He has, been traded around several times, even in this year. He's not getting the play time. The ad revenue is gone. And he feels like, things have just not gone his way. And so he goes back to the Iowa State Fair. This is not in 2021, when Iowa State Fair is just a bloodbath of COVID. This is an abnormal year where it's just a bath of grease and fried things. And so he goes back to the fair, and he's really lamenting, like, this is where my career this is where it ended, and I think I'm going to leave baseball. And then he runs into Joan Topcorn, who is not competing right now, but is selling something corn related, or showing something corn related. And he's like, he thinks he's going to go up and confront her. And she's like, hey, you're that baseball player, right? My kid would like your autograph, because there's a kid in it this time. And so then he starts talking to the kid, who is adorable and just worships him. And Joan is like, I'm so sorry I beat you so publicly. I would have done it privately if I could. And then he's like, oh, and then they kind of start talking, and then there's kids. So they start this sort of clandestine state fair romance, and he keeps coming back every day. He says it's to get his corn dog, but really is to see her. And the fair runs for like 2 weeks. So at the end of 2 weeks, he has this really like positive, fresh outlook. And he's like, okay, I think I want to, try to have a relationship with you. And she's like, oh, no. And then he's heartbroken, but she's like, I can't, I have my kid, I have my corn dynasty that I run. And you're a little bit toxic, and, publicity wise, I don't know if we can do that. And so, Joe Topbat goes back to being grizzled, but he spends a year working on himself. He goes to therapy. He gets back in the game, back in the gym, and a year later, he comes back to the state fair again. So this is his third time there. He gets his corn dog, he gets his fried butter on a stick, he gets a salad on a stick because he told his trainer he would, and he goes to see her again. And they have this epic kiss, and they play bags again, except they play on the same team this time, and they lose to some teenagers, but he is graceful about it. And then they make out a little bit at the fair, and then they fall in love, and he moves to Iowa and goes to run. There's a museum of a baseball player on I-80 that I used to drive by every 2 weeks, and I can't remember what it's called, but he goes and runs that museum in this small town in Iowa that I will look up and put in the comments. And then every year they go back to the fair, and that is where they get engaged and get married. The end.
Okay.
He is playing that long game, isn't he?
That was a long game. I don't think I've ever had a slow burn for a Joe Top story.
No.
But I was like,
so
it's
he's
not that long. So in the first time, he wouldn't have really talked to her. So we had to have a long
and he's not going to coach.
No, he's going to run this baseball museum. It's like the Ted Jones Museum of Baseball in some small town. And I got to look it up now.
Okay. And do we have any takers on what we would title this? I
need to know, is it cornhole or bags in Iowa?
I always call it bags, but I'm not actually originally from Iowa.
We called it cornhole in Toledo.
Yeah, it's cornhole here in Morgantown. So, because you can do something really nasty like cornhole.
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
It was the Bob Feller Museum in Van Meter, Iowa, is the museum he's going to go run.
Okay. Yeah.
A title. What about Love on a Stick? Redemption on a Stick?
Buttered up for you.
That's a different thing.
Butter me up.
The corn dog affair.
Mm. This is certain.
Eat me by the butter cow.
Yeah, butter cow.
2 people, 1 cornhole.
From our YA author, everyone. That was filthy. On that note, that's got to be the winner.
I think so. Yeah, that was a good slow burn. Joe top bat and Joan top corn.
Top kernel maybe would have been better, but you know, it was on the fly.
Hey, it's on the fly. You guys, I think this might be the time where we should wrap it up, but it's been delightful to have you on.
Thank you for joining us.
It was so much fun.
Thank you.
We hope you don't regret it. I mean...
Jesse, we can find a time to hang out somewhere between Ames and Iowa City.
You know, there are some great truck stops between here and there.
Accurate.
That's pretty much it, though. But
that could be the premise for a romance novel. Maybe not romance, but
that's where you go to find good cornholing.
I'll send you an email. We'll figure it out. That'd be awesome.
Okay. Put in the subject line "good cornholing," and then I'll know what it's about. But yeah, thank you all for joining us. Good luck with the start of fall and the start of the semester and the book. And we're so excited.
Yes.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for joining us. Everybody make sure to tune in now and also our next episode where we will be sharing more awesome information. Hope you have a fabulous August and the dog days of summer are upon us. See you all later. Bye.